So I'm thinking about attachment this morning as I ride through the Texas hill country, enjoying the bluebonnets, wildflowers. You know, they say there's three things you should never talk about: sex, politics, and religion. That's probably pretty good advice, because all three of those topics are pretty volatile. So I'm thinking about a topic this morning that might kind of nibble around the edges of religion, but it's not really. I am very interested in the Buddhist philosophy. And Buddhism is technically not a religion, but a lot of people think it is. It's more of a philosophy, and the main purpose of that philosophy is to be happy. The idea is that the purpose of life is really to be happy. That's what everybody wants. We're all traveling down that road and trying to achieve it one way or the other. But what the Buddha discovered was, through his enlightenment, was the sources of unhappiness. He said that it's really difficult to be happy unless you can identify the causes of unhappiness, which by inverse are also the causes of happiness. And one of the main causes in his philosophy was attachment. And that is attachment to things, people, ideas, feelings, and the refusal or the unwillingness to accept the fact that all things are impermanent. Everything will just disappear, everything will go away, everything will change. And we try sometimes desperately to hold on to what we have and keep things the way they are. I sometimes look at very wealthy people and compare them to poor people, and sometimes those wealthy people don't seem to be nearly as happy as the poor people. And I think maybe it's because they have more to lose, and they're really concerned about losing this great life of luxury and all these things that they have. Whereas the poor people, they have to find their happiness in sometimes the things that really matter. That's relationships and just being and experiencing life. So I'm interested in this topic because all my life I've had a tendency to attach to things and people and to try to find my happiness in things outside of myself. And you know, those things always changed and they always went away. I remember a motorcycle trip several years ago. We were up around Mount Rushmore. We'd stopped at a combination service station and cafe. We parked the bikes outside. We went in to get a little bite to eat. And while we were inside, a fella came in and said, "Hey, are those your bikes out there?" And we said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, a truck just backed into one of them and knocked it over." And, you know, of course, we all freaked out. We jumped up, we ran outside, and it was my friend Jim's Gold Wing. And I watched him as he talked to the guy who backed into the bike. He was very calm. He was polite and respectful. Didn't seem to be upset. The bike was damaged a little bit. But I watched this whole thing play out, and after it was over, I said, "Jim, how did you manage to stay so calm when your bike had been damaged like that?" And he said something that it's kind of stayed with me for a number of years. He said, "Well, unlike you Harley riders, I am not my bike." And so we get back on the road later, and I've got a lot of time to think about that. And I think about it a lot from time to time now, because I have staked my own self-worth and the way I feel about myself on stuff I have, on how much money I have in the bank, or what kind of car I have, or Yeah, and in the case of the Harley, that I identified so strongly with that Harley, it was me. Somehow I thought that Harley was either expressing who I was or who I wanted to be. And you know, if I was honest, I would have to say it was probably expressing who I wanted to be. So that attachment, that unwillingness to accept the transitory nature of all things, can be a great source of unhappiness. Now, one of the things I've learned over the years is how to deal with that is through meditation, through calming the mind, and literally detaching from some of those thoughts. Now, you can't get rid of them, but you can kind of let them float free. There's a place for a photo shoot, I think. Could be. Now, of course, you say meditation to a lot of people, and you've automatically lost them. They think it's some woo-woo, spooky, new age thing. They automatically think of robed gurus sitting around in the lotus position with their eyes closed. Well, the fact is, it is not that way at all. Meditation is sweeping the whole country. Huge corporations like Google are having meditation classes because it reduces stress, it helps us think more clearly. And deal with some of the issues that cause us unhappiness in our life. And everybody has meditated at one point or another, but I know we've all had that experience of being at one with everything. We've lost ourself. We are truly in the moment. And when that happens, it is really a feeling of bliss. Now the trick is to understand that we can learn to bring that state of mind up on demand. And that's what meditation does. We can call that state of mind up, settle our mind, and see clearly. So you think about a snow globe. You shake that snow globe up, and you see all those little particles swirling around inside. Well, that's what our mind's like a lot of the time. We let it sit still, and it settles, and the globe comes clear, just like our mind will become clear. So you might try that sometime. Let me know what you think about that. If you agree or disagree, shoot some comments down there. And if you're inclined to do so, subscribe. Love to start a dialogue with people about this important topic.